Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. Today, we're looking at AI and how it can totally change results reporting for UN country teams.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
We're going to break down a really cool concept note and a prompt structure for this new AI tool.
It could really revolutionize how these reports are made.
I know, it's pretty exciting stuff.
UN country teams spend so much time on these reports.
Right.
Weeks, yeah, and this AI tool could make the whole process so much faster and more efficient.
And that is exactly what we're diving into today.
That's right.
We want to give you the tools to actually build your own version of this thing.
Yeah, like a masterclass in AI reporting.
Okay, so the tool itself is called the 2025 Annual Results Data Organiser tool.
It's already being used in Gambia.
Oh, wow.
And it uses the Gemini 1.5 Pro AI model, which you can get through Google AI Studio.
Cool. So anyone listening can actually get their hands on this.
Absolutely.
And the source material actually lays it all out step by step.
Exactly.
It's great for UN communications and data officers.
It empowers people to not just understand the AI, but to build it.
Build it themselves.
Yeah, and use it in their own countries.
Wow. Okay, so let's get into the structure of this AI prompt.
Okay.
It's broken down into 5 modules.
Yeah.
Each one is flexible and customizable.
You can really make it fit your country's needs.
I see.
It's important that it's modular like this.
Why is that?
It makes sure the AI analyzes data the same way every time,
Okay.
and that there's a clear link between the country's priorities and the UN's results.
Right.
Plus, it gives us a structured way to pull out those human interest stories that show what the UN is really doing.
I like the human interest stories.
Yeah, they're key.
Okay, so module 1 is all about setting the stage.
Yeah, you're basically defining the role of the AI.
Like giving it a job description.
Exactly, like telling it to act like an expert.
An expert in what?
And finding these powerful stories for the UN annual report for a specific country.
Got it.
And the source material really stresses how important accuracy and transparency are.
Right, we want stories that show the real impact of the UN's work.
Exactly, and we want to be able to see how the AI got its results.
Makes sense.
So there's a big difference between a good and bad role definition.
Give me an example of a good one.
Okay, so a good one would be something like, you are an expert in analyzing and extracting compelling human interest stories for the UN Thailand annual report, with particular attention to cross-border initiatives in the greater Mekong subregion.
Very specific.
Right.
What about a bad one?
A bad one would be something vague like, you are an expert in UN reporting.
Yeah, that doesn't tell the AI anything.
Exactly. It needs context and a clear objective.
Okay, I'm with you.
So let's move on to Module 2.
All right, Module 2.
This is where you give the AI all the important information about the country's development landscape.
Like a crash course on the country.
Yeah, think of it that way.
So what kind of information are we talking about?
Things like the country's current development plan, their priorities, the challenges they face, and the opportunities that exist.
Okay, so the AI really needs to understand the context.
That's exactly it.
Otherwise, it can't analyze the situation properly.
Right. And remember, the information needs to be accurate and up to date.
We don't want to be feeding it old data or anything political that could skew the analysis.
Exactly.
And where do we get this information?
The document suggests going straight to the source.
The official sources.
Yeah, like the country's development plan itself.
We should use their exact language too.
Right.
And include things like statistics, baseline data, national targets,
All of that.
even recent policy changes.
Yep, it's all important context for the AI.
And I guess it's also important to be mindful of what not to include.
Definitely.
Things like outdated information, contested statistics, political statements, or unverified data.
Right, that stuff should all be avoided.
Okay, so Module 2 is all about giving the AI a solid foundation.
A clear picture of the country's development landscape.
Okay, that makes sense.
So now let's move on to Module 3.
Module 3.
This is where we bring in the UNSDCF,
UNSDCF.
the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
Okay, so that's the UN's roadmap for supporting the country's development.
Exactly.
And this is where it gets a bit technical.
But bear with me, it's not that complicated.
Okay, I'm ready.
The key is to convert the UNSDCX results framework into a specific format called JSON.
JSON.
It stands for JavaScript Object Notation, but you don't need to worry about the details.
Okay, good.
Think of it as a universal language that both humans and the AI can understand.
So we're translating the UNSDCF into something the AI can read.
Precisely.
And why is that important?
It allows the AI to connect the stories it finds with the results outlined in the UNSDCF.
So it can analyze the data more effectively.
Exactly.
And the document gives specific instructions on how to format this JSON right.
Yes, very specific instructions.
So we need to follow those carefully.
Absolutely. That ensures the AI can make those connections properly.
Okay, got it.
So that's Module 3.
Right, on to Module 4 then.
Module 4 is where the magic happens.
The magic.
Well, this is where we guide the AI to find those powerful stories that show the impact of the UN's work.
Okay, so this is the heart of it all.
You get it. This module provides the framework for how the AI should search for information.
What kind of framework?
Well, it lays out things like the specific data points to prioritize and the steps to verify the accuracy of the information.
We need to give the AI clear instructions.
Exactly. Instead of just saying find stories about UN impact, we need to be much more specific.
Okay, give me an example.
We could tell it to look for stories about a specific project in a specific location, targeting a specific population.
And what were the results of that project?
Right. We need to tell it what kind of data points to focus on.
So the AI can build a complete and impactful story.
That's the goal.
And that's where the structured data extraction template comes in, right?
Exactly. That helps to make sure the AI gathers all the necessary information.
Okay, so this structured approach makes the stories better.
And it makes the UN's reporting more robust and data-driven. So that brings us to the final module, Module 5.
Module 5, quality control.
That's it, making sure the AI's output meets our standards.
Like a system of checks and balances.
Exactly. We need to verify information, classify the evidence, and make sure the AI presents its findings in a consistent way.
So we're ensuring the stories are credible and the results are reliable.
That's the goal, and the document actually provides guidelines for defining different levels of certainty.
Levels of certainty.
Yeah, things like verified information, implied information, and information gaps.
Interesting.
And we also need to tell the AI how we want the information presented.
Do we want a summary report, a collection of stories, a detailed data analysis?
Module 5 is where we make those choices.
So there you have it.
The 5 modules.
A framework for building your own AI-powered results reporting tool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it is. But how does this actually work in the real world?
Well, let's take a look at what UN Gambia has been doing.
Let's do it. The UN Gambia case is really interesting.
Yeah.
It shows how this framework can actually be used.
And it gets results.
So they were facing the same problem as a lot of UN country teams.
Right? Reporting takes up so much time.
And they wanted to see if this AI tool could help.
Make things faster.
Yeah.
It worked.
Really?
They saw a huge improvement in how quickly they could create reports.
That's amazing.
Their team had so much more time to focus on other things.
That's great. But what about the quality of the reports?
That improved too.
How so?
The AI tool helped them find stories they might have missed before.
Stories.
Yeah, remember how we talked about those human interest stories?
Right.
The AI was able to find those stories and connect them to the results framework.
That's Module 3. Yeah.
Exactly. So it made their reports more impactful and evidence-based.
It wasn't just data. It was data with a story behind it.
Exactly.
This really shows how AI can help the UN.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
And ultimately, having a bigger impact.
That's the goal.
So let's say a UN country team is listening and wants to implement this.
Okay.
Where should they start?
They should start by looking at the prompt structure.
5 modules.
Yeah, and they need to think about how each module can be customized for their own country.
The document gives some guidance on that, right?
Oh yeah, tons of tips and examples for each module.
What kind of things?
Well, it stresses how important it is to use accurate and current information.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
And to have a good quality assurance process in place.
It's not just about plugging in data and letting the AI do its thing.
Human oversight is still important.
Absolutely. You need experts to make sure the reports are accurate and credible.
So it's a partnership between humans and AI.
That's a good way to put it.
You mentioned earlier that this tool does more than just automate tasks.
Oh, yeah.
What else can it do?
Well, it can help us see patterns and trends that we might miss.
Like hidden insights.
Exactly. Imagine analyzing tons of data and finding those little nuggets of information.
That could really help with decision making.
Absolutely.
It could make our interventions more targeted and effective.
And ultimately have a bigger impact on the people we're trying to help.
So it's not just about reporting, it's about understanding the data.
And using that understanding to make a difference.
I also wanted to touch on the storytelling aspect.
Yeah, that's important.
This tool isn't just about presenting data, it's about finding the human stories behind the data.
Right. Those stories are what make the data relatable.
They connect with people on an emotional level.
And they can inspire action.
So this AI tool is also a communication tool.
It helps the UN tell its story in a more powerful way.
We've been focusing on results reporting, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Can this technology be used for other things in the UN?
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
Give me an example.
Well, think about humanitarian crises.
Okay.
The AI could analyze data from different sources and quickly identify emerging trends.
We could get a better understanding of the situation,
And assess needs more effectively,
and that could lead to a faster response.
potentially saving lives.
Wow, that's amazing.
Or we could use AI to analyze data on gender equality or climate change.
To track progress.
Yeah, and identify areas where we need to do better.
So AI could help us achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool.
So what are some key takeaways for our listeners today?
I want them to remember that this tool can be really powerful. But it's not something you just plug in and forget about.
It's not a magic bullet.
Right. You need to use it carefully and understand what it's doing.
And that's where human expertise comes in.
Exactly. UN communications and data officers need to be involved.
They're the ones who make sure it works properly.
It's their understanding of the context and their ability to interpret the data.
And their commitment to accuracy.
That's what makes this technology really effective.
You know, the source material asks an interesting question.
Oh, yeah.
It asks how this AI tool could be used for other reporting challenges in the UN.
Not just annual results.
Right. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the framework is really adaptable.
So it could be used for other things. Like what?
Well, imagine using it to streamline reporting on humanitarian crises.
Okay.
The AI could analyze real-time data and identify emerging trends.
So we could get a faster response.
Exactly. We could assess needs more quickly and effectively.
And that could save lives.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Wow. It's incredible.
Or think about using AI to analyze data on gender equality or climate change.
We could track our progress.
Exactly, and identify areas where we're falling short.
We could really use this technology to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
I think so.
This is really exciting stuff.
It is. The possibilities are endless.
So to wrap things up today,
Okay.
what should our listeners take away from this deep dive?
I want them to understand the potential of this AI tool.
It can really transform the way the UN works.
But it's not a magic solution.
Human expertise is still essential.
We need to use this technology thoughtfully and responsibly.
And to all the UN data enthusiasts out there,
Yeah.
we encourage you to check out the source material.
The link will be in the show notes. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Try new things and see how you can adapt this technology to your own needs.
You could be the one to develop the next groundbreaking AI tool for the UN.
It's an exciting time to be working with data.
The future of the UN is in your hands.
Let's make it a data-driven and impactful one.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.